Thanks for having me. How did I get on Jeopardy? It's kind of fitting that this would be a Delaware County event because Delaware County is a big reason I was on Jeopardy. I grew up very close to here in Rose Valley, and I went to school right down the street in Strathaven. And as most of you probably know, being Delaware County residents, Scott's IQ occurs in Delaware County and in only a few counties around the country, where Scott, when it existed, had plants, and I guess Kimberly-Clark now has kept the tradition. So, well, if you do Scott's IQ, Jeopardy's sort of the holy grail. And they still have the teen tournament, and I tried out for that a couple of years. I think I did Scott's IQ maybe all 4 years of high school, certainly 3. And I remember my mom was taking a lot of pictures. She wasn't allowed to do that when I was on the set of Jeopardy. She drove me down to Washington one time. They would have it in different places. One time it was at WPVI up on City Line Avenue. I actually passed one year. I don't remember if it was my junior or senior year of high school, and probably 100 of us did for the 15 slots. I guess I wasn't charming enough to be among the 15 students around the country who got selected for the teen tournament, though ironically, one of my suite mates in college was the runner-up one of those years. But so, you know, it was this holy grail thing. Then I tried out a few times. I never really tried out for college Jeopardy. But, you know, then it was like about the money. I never really watched the show that much. I tried out a few times after college. I remember a few times going down to Atlantic City where they had 10 questions and you had to get like 7 of them right. I never passed. They did it at Merv Griffin's Casino. It was a way of getting people into the casino, really, when they had Merv Griffin's resorts. Previously it had been 50 questions. You had to get 35 of them right. I did that once, I guess, had my name called back. Then they went back to the old format. And I tried out in New York. It was a block from where I lived in Manhattan at one of the Sheratons there. And I almost missed the tryout because, you know, of course, if you're right nearby, you're late. If you have to go 5 hours, you'll be 2 hours early. Just got in on time. And I could not possibly have gotten more than 35 or 36 right because I only answered 35 or 36. It's the same font. You get to write them down. They don't review them. And so I came close to not passing. They called 15 of us back. I was the last one called. Again, I did not probably have the highest score of anyone there, but I was the last person called. Then they put us in a game situation and an interview, and I think I did pretty well in that. I think I swept the board with the category Brazil or something. Waited 7 months. I told them I was going to be in LA, which is where they tape it, or Culver City. Actually, ironically, the rehearsal dinner was in Culver City at the Sony Studios for a wedding. They said, that's really nice, but we don't take that into consideration. Then 2 weeks later, when I was in the pool, I happened to get a call saying, would you come to LA during the time I had mentioned I would be in LA? And my mother faithfully joined me, and some friends of the family did. And I was on Jeopardy, and I don't recommend doing anything important in the couple of hours before you get the call, because I was in graduate school in a business school class for 3 hours, and let's just say the concentration skills were a little even worse than usual that day. One more thing, if anyone wants to watch the episodes before I forget, you just put in YouTube, Adam Taxin, Jeopardy, and you can see all the episodes.
Hi, I was on Wheel of Fortune. The way I got on the process was I actually signed up online like 5 or 6 years prior, so 2005 or 2006. I watched the show religiously with my parents. It's one of the few shows we can watch together because of the language issues. So they love Wheel of Fortune, and I would watch, and they'd always say, Mona, you should try, you should try. So I signed up online in 05 or 06, and in 2010 I got an email that went right to my junk mail because that's where you would assume a lot of that stuff would be. And I looked at it, and it said at wheeloffortune.com. I was like, okay, this looks a little legit. Maybe I'll call into the phone number they gave, and it said, you have reached the Wheel of Fortune hotline. If you're confirming for your private audition, press 1, and then you say your name and say what date you were invited for. I went up for the audition in New York about 2 weeks later, and there was probably a room about 100, 150 people. And as I walked into the room, the gentleman walking me in, I kind of schmoozed him, and I was like, I'm so excited to be here. I made a day out of it. Come to find out, he ran the entire thing. So when I was sitting there and I popped up, he recognized me, he knew my name right away. They just asked us to call out letters, and that was the first half of the audition. They were looking for the room presence and how you held yourself, making sure you were calling out letters like, RSTLNE, and not, the first letter is X or K. So then we had a written test. The written test was pretty much like fill in the blank, get as many as you can within 20 minutes, and then they collected them and they left the room for about a half hour grading these papers. When they came back, if they called your name, you stayed for the second round. So they cut about half the room very quickly. The next half they did, like they would call 4 or 5 of us up in front of the room and we'd say things. We'd play a little, mock round. And then they told us, they said, all right, well, if you're going to be called for our Spring Fling episode, our Spring Fling week, we'll give you a call next week. If you're going to be invited for California, you'll get a certified letter in the mail within a month. If not, try again in a year. So I waited anxiously all week, and the following Thursday, I got a phone call at 4:45. So I really thought I had not gotten anything. And then a month later, I flew out to Vegas to tape at the Venetian. They did 5 episodes a day, and they taped for 5 days straight. So there was a lot of contestants that some of them I had already met from the first round. And then my episode was the last of that entire day.